Hello students, today we will be starting a new chapter of class 11, that is plant kingdom. In the 5 kingdom classification we have come to know about the various kingdoms given by Robert Whittaker in the previous chapter, and we had come to know that at a glance, if we see the classification which was made by Robert Whittaker, we can easily understand that which organism should belong to which kingdom. Although it had some anomalies, it had some problems due to which later on 6 kingdom classification was considered, but so far Whittaker's system of classification is the best classification. The reason is because it was based upon the criteria which was not taken into consideration by his previous that is your friends who classified the organisms into 3 kingdom or 4 kingdom classification. Now plant kingdom, as it is known as kingdom Plantae, includes a multicellular chlorophyllous organisms. We had come to know a brief idea about kingdom Plantae and its organisms and the kind of characteristics, especially about the nutrition. If you remember, I talked about in the last class that they are autotrophs, but there are few exceptions. Like I told you about Cuscuta, it is a parasitic plant. Then there were some partial heterotrophs because of the soil in which they are growing is deficient in the nitrogen content. Now this plant kingdom or kingdom Plantae is further divided or classified into 5 divisions. Now these divisions include your algae, it includes your bryophytes, it includes pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Now this algae is you can say the primitive kind of organisms which are included under the plant kingdom. Now why are they included? The reason is because of the presence of chlorophyll in them. Although we will be seeing that in case of the algae, which is also sometimes known as your Thallophyta. Why they are known as Thallophyta? The reason is because their plant body is not differentiated into root, stem or leaves. So since they are not differentiated in that way, so all the things assemble or appear to be of same type, so it is thallus like, so that is why the name has been given as your Thallophyta to the algae. The algae is further classified into 3 different classes depending upon the kind of chlorophyll pigment associated with it and the coloration which they show outwardly. That we will be coming gradually, but presently we would see that the kingdom Plantae is divided into 5 divisions, that is algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Okay, now as in your new or the revised syllabus, the angiosperms are excluded. We will be only reading up to gymnosperms, and angiosperms, as far as I think you have read it, basic criteria of angiosperms in your class 10, that is about the angiospermic plants show the double fertilization and triple fusion. And if you still want to have those recapitulation of the angiospermic plants, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants, you can see a video whose link I have given in the description box. You can go through it and you can satisfy your queries related to that of angiosperms. But as far as class 11 is concerned, angiosperms questions are not going to come. Okay, but the thing is that since it is included under the plant kingdom, so generalized idea we have to come to know about angiosperms, and these angiosperms were taken into consideration by the various scientists in the way that further classification of the angiosperms were done depending upon the various criteria of the plants belonging to angiosperms. Now what are these criteria or what are these classifications? Now the angiosperms primitively, or you can say in the time when the people started classifying the organisms into angiosperms, that time the angiosperms were divided into into various groups depending upon just a gross morphological characters. And this system of classification of angiosperms was done again by Linnaeus, and it was known as your artificial system of classification. Why it was artificial? Because it was the morphological characters only which was taken into consideration. Reproductive characters were taken into consideration, but equal importance was given on the vegetative properties properties of the plants also, like habits of the plant, whether the plant is a herb, whether the plants were shrub or they were tree. So various distantly related organisms which were small heighted but belonging to the advanced family were also grouped together with the lower group of plants. This was a mistake. This was a mistake which was rectified later on by another scientist who proposed the natural system of classification of the angiosperms. Now what did they now do? They, along with the gross morphological characters which was taken by the Linnaeus, they also took into consideration embryology. They also took into consideration cytology. They also took into consideration the stamens, that is the reproductive part, the number of the stamens or the number of the gynoeciums. All those things were taken into consideration. So it was anatomy, it was embryology, it was your morphology, it was your cytology, it was your chemotaxonomy. Okay, so all those things were taken into consideration, and then they classified the organisms belonging to the angiosperms into various classes or various orders and all. And this was proposed by Bentham and Hooker. Okay, and although after Bentham and Hooker's of natural system of classification of angiosperms, one more classification came into existence, which is called phylogenetic system of classification. But till date, the natural system of classification is the one which is widely accepted in most of the topmost herbarium in the world, including the herbarium which is in Kew Herbarium in London. They are also following the classification of angiospermic plants into various groups, into various families, various classes, depending upon the characteristics that were proposed by Bentham and Hooker. In our Shibpur Botanical Garden, also which is having an herbarium, there also the Bentham and Hooker system of classification is, that is the natural system of classification, is only followed because it is easy and it has keys, it has couplets. So keys are having lids and couplets. So that process of classification of the plants was much more acceptable by the scientist. And till date, if any new organism of plant is being found and it is angiosperm, then in that case it is correlated or it is matched to find out what family or what name could be given to this plant. Generic name or species name can be provided. If it is entirely a new organism, it can be provided by the author who is working upon it. But the fundamental way of classification is followed by the natural system of classification proposed by Bentham and Hooker. Next, as I was telling you, that after this natural system of classification, one more system of classification to classify the organisms belonging to angiosperms were discussed by yet two scientists, which were known as your Engler and Prantl. Now this Engler and Prantl, these two people, what did they do is that they took into consideration the Bentham and Hooker's all the characteristics which they have selected for classification, and along with that they included the phylogenetic study. Now why did they include the phylogenetic studies? Because fossils provide great evidence in supporting the present form of organisms with its ancestors. So along with the morphology, anatomy, cytology, embryology, they took into this new concept of that is your fossil evidence. But unfortunately, fossil evidence is always not sufficient, because with all the plants fossilized parts to get, it is very difficult, and so fossil records to maintain and to correlate the present organisms with the fossil sometimes becomes impossible. So in that case, numerical taxonomy is also taken into account. Now what is this numerical taxonomy? Is that whatever characteristic depending upon which we want to classify the organisms, these are fed in the computer and they are given a specific number, a specific group, a number is assigned to a specific group or to a family or to an order, and they are then tallied with those characteristics, and then finally they are classified into the various group of organisms. So this is about the classification of the angiosperms into different ways by the different scientists. The primitive one is the artificial system of classification, Next was your natural system of classification, which is till date followed. It was proposed by Bentham and Hooker. And finally, the phylogenetic system of classification, that is evolutionary relationship between the various groups of angiosperms, so that we can classify them in a systematic manner. That was given by your Engler and Prandtl. Fine. Now let us come back to this 5 divisions of this plant kingdom. Now algae, as I told you, that these are the organisms which are chlorophyllous, which are microscopic, some are macroscopic, and they are variously colored, and they also are found in aquatic habitat. These organisms, although some of them are terrestrial, like Chara is a terrestrial algae, but the thing is that most of them are dependent upon water for the process of fertilization. Now algae is such kind of organism which are having chlorophyll A, they are having chlorophyll B, they are having chlorophyll C, they are having chlorophyll D. Now all the algae do not have all the chlorophylls. Depending upon which chlorophyll is found in which group of algae, the algae is further classified into 3 classes. Okay, what are these 3 classes? Let us write it, then it will be easy for you to just mug up. So let us write it over here. So algae first is called as your chlorophyceae. Okay, next is your phaeophyceae. See, in the various rules of nomenclature which we have read in the first chapter, there I just told you about the generalized rules of that is your classification of an organism. But when a name is given by the suffix CEAE at its end, CEAE, it means it is a class. So class in case of plants are represented at the end by the suffix CEAE. If you have a suffix ALES, ALIS, that means it is order. Understood? So this way, different suffixes are present at the end of the names, by which we have to understand that what type of classification which we are doing. Like here we are doing is actually the classification on the basis of class, and here I have written it as algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes. These are general name, but if you talk about the division, it will be written as Thallophyta. So when it is phyta, it represents the division. It will be bryophyta, it will be pteridophyta, it will be gymnospermi and angiospermi. Got it? So this is how the divisions are made and the families are made. So let us come back, and the last family under this algae or Thallophyta is your Rhodophyceae. So these are the 3 classes of your algae. There's Thallophyta, which has chlorophycean member, phaeophycean member and rhodophycean member. Now we will be coming at what does it mean, but as I told you that they are microscopic, they are multicellular, but some of them are unicellular. One best example is Chlamydomonas. Now Chlamydomonas is a single cell, unicell, which is having chlorophyll in it, and it is belonging to the chlorophycean member, and it generally reproduces vegetatively also, it reproduces asexually also, it reproduces sexually also. So when the algae are reproducing vegetatively, they generally show a process which is called fragmentation in most of the algae, whether we talk about chlorophycean member, phaeophycean or rhodophycean. That means the filament or the plant body sometimes gets fragmented because they are in the aquatic media, so some water currents come. So in accidental case, if the vegetative body splits apart, then that will result into formation of or the regeneration of the entire organism, as we see in case of your Spirogyra. Then as far as the asexual reproduction is concerned, asexual reproduction generally takes place by means of zoospores. Okay, zoospores are found in case of the algae, and they are liberated from the zoosporangium, and they again, when are falling into the suitable ground, they again germinate to form the vegetative plant body. okay, which is the gametophytic plant body, of course. And as far as the sexual reproduction is concerned, they show that is the fusion, that is, we call it syngamy, in which the gametes can be of same size, similar in appearance. So when it is similar in appearance, morphologically similar gametes, like as for example I was telling you about the unicellular algae, that is your Chlamydomonas, they show this isogamous type of reproduction. So two similar gametes, when they fuse with each other to form the zygote, we call such kind of reproduction, sexual reproduction, to be isogamous type of sexual reproduction. Then there is anisogamous type of sexual reproduction, in which one gamete is small, one gamete is bigger. Okay, so it is known as your anisogamy, and sometimes it is seen that they are anisogamous type of sexual reproduction, but the two gametes are, one of the gamete is motile and one of the gamete is non-motile. So when it is non-motile, it is not able to move, so it's bigger. We call it as your ovum or ootyd, as we can call it, because it is an egg cell, and the sperm is having flagella, so it will be swimming into the water body and coming and fusing with this egg to form the zygote. So in that case, what will happen is that this egg, since it is coming and fusing with the egg, so we call it as ovum, so we call it as your oogamous type of sexual reproduction. So three types of sexual reproduction in case of algae, that is isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous type of sexual reproduction. They have cell wall because they are belonging to the plant kingdom. Reserve food material in case of the various classes of the algae also differs. Like in case of chlorophycean member, the reserve food material is starch. If you come to the phaeophycean member, they have the reserve food material as laminarin or mannitol. Okay, and rhodophycean members, they have the reserve food material as Floridian starch. So this is also one of the difference you can say in case of the three different classes of the algae or the Thallophyta. Now as far as the chlorophyll is concerned, this chlorophycean member, they have chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Okay, so they are green in color, and they generally occupy the freshwater body, and sometimes they are also seen in the, that is your sea water also, that is marine habitat. Phaeophycean members are generally the one which contains the chlorophyll A, and they contain the chlorophyll C, and along with that they have the that is your fucoxanthin, and they also have the that is your xanthophyll. So because of the pigments of this xanthophyll along with that of chlorophyll A and chlorophyll C, they show different shades, somewhat dark green, olive green to like that of brownish color. So that's why they are known as brown algae. So that is the Phaeophycean member belonging to the algae. And rhodophycean members, they are of course marine, and they have the chlorophyll A and they have the chlorophyll that is your D in them. So along with that, xanthophyll and carotenoid pigments are also there. So because of the blending of all these pigments in them, they appear to be red in color. So they are known as your red algae, and they have lot of economic importance. Algae has lot of economic importance. I also forgot to tell you in the beginning that when you will be reading the various divisions of plant kingdom, you also have to read about the economic importance of each divisions. Algae's economic importance, if you want to read, you have to read the economic importance of all these things, and togetherly you can put it into 5 points or 6 points for making your economic importance of algae. Now it can be, as we have seen in case of your green algae. So green algae, the 50% of the carbon dioxide being utilized and again converted back into fresh oxygen is done by this algae alone. So that is the economic importance. They are you can say the people rather who are making our environment fresh and free from the obnoxious gases. So that is the economic importance of algae. Then some algae like your spirulina, chlorella, these are used as food supplements. And chlorella has also one very good importance in that they are able to convert a lot of carbon dioxide into oxygen at a very less time. And that's the reason why in the spacecraft the space men are taking this chlorella in their spacecraft, so that in the space when they go, the oxygen can be made regularly on a fresh basis by this chlorella. Chlorella is also very important in the sense that from chlorella one antibiotics is prepared. The name of this antibiotics is called chlorellin. Okay, CHLORELLIN, chlorellin. So chlorellin is antibiotics obtained from chlorella, which is an algae. So that is an economic importance. What else? Phaeophycean members, laminaria or kelp as it is called, these are 10 meters long. They are growing under the ocean, but they are so big and they form important delicacies. If you go to the oriental countries, that is Korea, Japan and all, the people, they use this kelp or the laminaria to prepare various kinds of dishes. Okay, and rhodophycean members are also used as fodder. Irish moss is there. Then the rhodophycean members, from them perhaps there that or you don't know, but you should know that the ice creams which you are taking, actually the cream texture of that ice cream is given by the Gelidium algae. Okay, the Gelidium is the powdered Gelidium and Gracilaria are the two algae whose this extracts, when are mixed with that of ice cream making ingredients, they bring that delicious cream texture of the ice creams. And agar, this you should know because this is very common thing. Anyways, if you don't know, you should know it now. Agar is also a kind of substance which is obtained from this algae, which is an excellent nutrient media for growing up of microorganisms in the laboratory conditions. When we are wanting the microorganisms to grow, to propagate, they also need some nutrients, no? So that nutrients will be provided by this agar powder. So this is the various kinds of economic importance related to that of the algae. We will be taking up the individual members and their also economic importance and their properties of this classes of algae separately, and then we will be switching on to bryophytes, pteridophytes and gymnosperms. That's all for today's class.